afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, a View from Here. I'm very pleased to have as our guest today Mark Roth, who is the city manager, and he is just celebrating, I think, on June 12th, his third year as city manager for the city of Northport. So welcome, Mark, to the program. And
appreciate it.
With all, just to get us rolling here, we've had some pretty heavy rains over the past few days, and I guess we're anticipating more rains. Maybe you just want to give the folks a little rundown on what's happened and over these past few days.
I'd be more than happy to, Gene. Obviously, since last Wednesday, and this is now Thursday, we've experienced over the last 5-6 days a tremendous amount of rain. Certain portions of Northport have been inundated with rain. We had 55 houses damaged with water damage and over 291 streets that were impacted in some sort by water damage. But on the other hand, I'm happy to say that we've had a wonderful participation by the citizens that have been affected. That we've got a kind of a hardy, independent folk in Northport, and they've really chipped in, and we've had a wonderful participation by our city staff all the way from the top down and from the bottom up to address this issue, and fortunately we've got the right people in the right place, and they've done a wonderful job. And then I want to add also that we've had wonderful cooperation by people from not only from other agencies, but in the state as well as outside the state.
Well, that's great. Well, it's just unfortunate it has to happen, but when it happens, bringing those resources together sure is critical.
It is, and again, we're just thankful that nobody's life was lost in this event. But obviously working and not only through the storm, but now in the transition period to helping people in this transition to improve their properties, etc., and get them back in their homes. And that's quite a process in itself. Yeah.
You've been here 3 years now. Florida, of course, is a growth state, and it seems that in the past several years, 5-6 years, Northport seems to be the center of activity, growth activity, without really trying too hard within the area of Sarasota County and Charlotte County. You've been here 3 years now, and since that time, how many people have we grown, and what do you expect up until the year 2010?
Well, I can tell you that the 2000 census had the city of Northport listed at 22,000. And we estimate our population at this point in time is around 33,000. And we've had, in fact, I had the staff the other day just to kind of give me an idea as to what the number of new residents, single-family residents in Northport, and since June of 2000, we've seen 3,859 new residences built in Northport. And if you think that each resident brings about 2.87, almost three people per household, you can easily see how we've increased almost 10,000 or a little over 10,000 people.
Yeah, and if everything stays the same way, that growth will increase geometrically.
Northport's been very fortunate. We actually double in growth about every 3 years now, and so we could easily see our growth double very shortly, so that over the next 8 to 10 years, we could probably be in the neighborhood of 50 to 60,000 people, depending on of course, the economy and everything.
And that's without doing anything to spur it on. With that growth, of course, comes a need for more people, more facilities, more services for our residents. And how are you, certainly it's been a problem to cope with these things within the existing City Hall and Police Department. And I know they've been talking for quite a while about something new, and it's been a much needed thing. Sometimes it's been contentious, but what are we going to do about City Hall and the Police Department?
Well, you're right. These projects have had a long history. The city began planning for a municipal complex many years ago. And in fact, they established an area on Sumter and Price, which is kind of our crossroads or the middle of Northport, and to build a number of municipal infrastructure, municipal buildings. Currently, we have a new fire station and a new recreation center at that location. The city began the process of looking at the possibility of a new city hall and police station some years ago, and most recently in the last 3 years we took it upon ourselves to do a needs analysis of our office space needs from now until the year 2016. Taking into consideration what new employees would be needed for our growth based on our growth projections, and then to say or come up with a report that indicated what our needs would be up to that period of time, or 2016. And then we began the process of trying to move forward on a City Hall and Police Station project.
And the city of Northport is not alone in this having this particular problem. I know over the years that I've served as the school board just completely outgrew its facilities. They were in trailers and old World War II barracks and so on and so forth. The county again is looking for more administrative space, and that was in the newspapers not too many weeks ago.
Well,
and so, you know.
I was going to say, Gene, and following along and just on your line of thinking there, we're in the process of doing the same thing. Our current city facilities are very inadequate. Not only do we have very limited space for any new employees, and that is shown just because we have 4 trailers in the area of the complex. Part of those trailers are used obviously for building inspection and other facilities, but we have our human resources and our purchasing department in one trailer. We have our support services department, and our assistant city manager is in another trailer, and we anticipate having another trailer on the site here before the end of the year for additional offices. So we have completely outgrown the City Hall area that we currently have, and now we're into mobile trailers that we lease for a period of time, and we're hoping that a new facility will rectify that issue.
Will this building serve as some kind of emergency shelter also?
Well, we anticipate, obviously, our emergency shelter is always, for us, has always been the Mullen Center. We use that, and of course, with the new high school and the facilities that they've created and the structure that they've built, that's a very convenient facility for that as well. Our facility probably would not be as much emergency as, say, some of those other facilities, but obviously it could be used for that if the need came about.
Yeah, okay, that's swell. Again, we're looking at the City Hall, and we're looking at the police department.
Right.
What are we going to do for them?
Okay, the City Hall, for example, the way we're designing it at the present time will be a 65,000 square foot facility. It'll be 3 floors. It'll have a number of departments within it, but it'll be built so that we will have probably, most likely, 16 to 17% additional shell space beyond 2016 to build additional offices should our growth warrant at that time.
Okay, let's hold that thought, and we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaca. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome back. Before we took the break, we were talking about the new City Hall, and we have a photo of it, or a conceptual drawing of it over here, and Mark will tell us about it, and you can get a good look at it, and he'll try and identify certain things within the building and on the outside for us.
Well, thank you, Gene. It's very exciting to be involved in the process of designing this building. One of the things that this building will do, it'll be a one-stop shop for citizens, which we have not had. And it'll allow citizens to pay their utility bills, not only by coming into the City Hall and being able to make those payments, but it will also allow citizens to use a drive-in window that will be accessed off of the building, so that people, the convenience of paying your utility bills that way will help the citizens considerably. It'll also, our building will also have meeting space available so that citizens can use a space within the City Hall, not only for boards and committee meetings and that kind of thing. So there's some uses there that I think the citizens are going to like. With regards to the interior design of the City Hall, we've really taken our pains to spend a lot of time to make it user-friendly. And what we've done is we've put on the first floor, we have the utility billing and collection. When you come into the front of the City Hall or the entrance to the City Hall, you have the utility billing and collection. You also will see the planning department so that you can go in and deal with planning issues, as well as you will also see in that first floor, or on that first floor, the building department so that you can get building permits and those kind of things. So the high traffic areas are really on the first floor so that citizens can get in and out and do not have to spend a lot of time in doing business at City Hall. We also will have a small area for a cafeteria, so that if citizens want to have, come in and have something to drink, or, grab a bite to eat before they leave the City Hall, they're sure welcome to do that. On the second floor, and now we've done a little bit of a different approach. On our second floor, we've concentrated most of our City Commission issues, or departments that would use them. So we have, as you will see on the second floor, the City Clerk's office, and all of the record-keeping areas will be there. Also, the City Commission will each have individual offices, and that'll be right next to the City Commission chambers. The City Commission chambers is really the focal point of the second floor, and it'll have space for approximately 144 seating capacity of 144, plus an area for the City Commission, obviously, to sit. Then we also will have space available for an office for a state representative and a state senator should either one of them want to have an office locally in Northport. We're making space available for that.
That's really convenient. I think that's a good idea.
Very exciting for us, and it'll give citizens an opportunity to have access to their representatives at the local level. And then we'll also have an area for our public information and communications manager to put on productions, really a studio, if you will. And then on the second floor, we'll also have a training room for employees and can be used as a multi-purpose room for boards and commissions to meet. It'll also be used as a spillover room in case the commission chambers is full. There will be video screens so that people can sit in that training room and watch what's going on in the commission meeting. And then the rest of the second floor will be made up of human resources and purchasing department. And then on the third floor, our new engineering department will be located on the third floor, as well as the finance department, the city manager's office, the city attorney's offices, and also support services, which will primarily be the information technology and all of our computer systems. So we're packing a lot into this space, but it's very exciting, and yet we'll have space available for future growth beyond 2016.
And that future growth, would it be in each one of those floors, a certain area designated as?
What we've done, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of city halls are built where they try and fill up the first two floors or a second floor, but then they leave a full third floor empty. In our case, what we're doing is actually building additional space in each area on each floor so that those offices can grow should they need that additional space, and we don't have to shift people or complete departments around.
Constant movement.
That's right.
Back and forth.
So we're trying to anticipate what the future needs of the city will be.
You had mentioned about the utilities department now being inside the building that they're in now out on Price Boulevard. Does the city own that building?
We do, and what the utilities department, when we did our management study within the last year and a half, identified that the utility billing and collection should really be in the finance department and be located with them. So we will, when the new building is completed, we will be shifting over utility billing and collection and the personnel that are involved in that, and then they will be working under the finance department, and then the current utility facilities will be used more for operations.
What about computer facilities now?
Right.
Are you going to be a mainframe set up?
We have two systems, Gene, currently in our operations. We have a mainframe system for our accounting and some of our heavier computer needs, and then we have our networking of our small personal computers that a lot of the employees use in individual offices. So we really have two systems, but this new building will allow for that to be centralized, and will also allow for a training area there will be space available in the information technology area where employees can be trained on computers, and so that should benefit the efficiency. Instead of sending employees out to training courses outside the city, we should be able to offer a lot of that training in-house.
Yeah, it sounds spectacular
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned. The question always begs now, how are we going to pay for this?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. That is,
Are you sure?
I am, and I'm very glad to say that. What we're looking at is we currently have a 1-cent sales tax, and that has a 10-year period, and that was voted on and it expires in 2009. We also have a half-cent sales tax from the state that we receive. How we're looking to fund this is that we are seeking approval at a bond referendum on August 26th. And should the voters approve that, we will use the sales tax, the 1-cent sales tax, up to the year 2009, that revenue that was earmarked for the City Hall and Police Station. And then after 2009, up until the year 2023, we will fall back on the half-cent sales tax if the 1-cent sales tax is not renewed. But the good thing is, and I guess the bottom line is, that we will not be asking for any new taxes, and that the revenue that we have currently from the sales tax is sufficient to pay the yearly interest and principal on this revenue bond should the voters approve it on the 26th, and we hope they do. That we should be able to pay for this with our existing revenues, and that these buildings can be built. So really what we're asking the citizens to do is just to approve the buildings for us, and we'll use existing revenues.
I think we have a sample of the ballot here. That's up on the screen now. This is what will be presented to the citizens of Northport, and that's August?
Yes, it is, August 26th.
Okay.
And
Will this be all in a new touch?
And I hope so.
Yeah, okay.
That part I can't control,
You don't
but
control that, huh?
we're sure hoping that the voters will get out and support this effort. There's just so many benefits to this building, and both buildings, to the police station as well as the City Hall, to the citizens, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, I guess life anymore is constant expense, and always have to keep building and growing. They're making more and more people, and you have to have more and more facilities to house and service these people. So it's a never-ending chore. When you put this on the ground in the complex there at Price and Sumter, how much land are you going to have left? And one important question, do you have to walk a half a mile from the parking lot to get in?
No.
Or is it going to be a nice, easy?
It's going to be, I think it's going to be easy. We will have parking where the police station is going to be is off of Sumter, along the canal. The City Hall will then be to the east of that, but in between the police station and the City Hall will be parking available for both buildings, and then also to the east of the City Hall, going further east, will be parking. So there'll be parking on both sides of the City Hall.
Okay. Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
There's a rumor that small-town America has all but disappeared.
Northport is the last Mohican. This is the place. This is going to be the last undeveloped region. The city government itself is so pro-growth, and it's just like everything is in the right place at the right time for Northport. They're very open-minded, they're very honest, and they're very fair.
Disappeared? You've just seen evidence to the contrary. We call it Northport.
Welcome back to the final segment of Northport, a view from here. Mark, we were talking about bonds before, and questions of insured bonds, ratings of the city. What other comments do you have about the bonds that would be of interest to the citizens?
Thank you, Gene.
And should we buy them?
I would hope that we would. Let me explain a little bit. First of all, the reason why we're having the election on the 26th is because our charter specifically requires that any capital improvement project, a major capital improvement project, a vote is required. Thus, the reason why we're doing that is for that reason. That in turn, if the voters approve this project or these projects on the 26th, then the city will be issuing revenue bonds. They'll actually be called revenue bonds of 2003, and those bonds will be in the amount of around $15 million to pay for both buildings and then any costs related to the issuance of the bonds. Those bonds, as we see them today, would be for a 20-year period that we would have bond payments on these buildings. That's principal and interest, and spread out over a 20-year period, we're looking at approximately $1,200,000, give or take a few dollars, a year for principal and interest on these bonds to pay back the total indebtedness. So we think that it's very timely right now to have this election, and one of the reasons why the City Commission, I believe, chose to have this election in August rather than later in the year was because of the economic situation and the availability of receiving a much lower interest rate on this project by selling the bonds as early as possible. The other thing I think that the Commission weighed heavily was that the cost of construction continues to go up, and that the sooner that these buildings, if the voters approved it, could go forward, that it would be much less expensive for the citizens of Northport.
Yeah. Also in this, it's not just City Hall, but the bonds would be for the police department.
That's right,
also.
for both projects.
And we have in front of us here a little shot of the outside conceptual drawing of the police station. Maybe we can show it there, and you can just give us
Yes.
a few brief facts about the police station, and then we'll move on.
Right. The police station is another exciting aspect and quite frankly, a needed building for us. First of all, as designed, the new police station will be about 30,000 square foot. It'll be a two-story building. The first floor will house the records and dispatch area, as well as evidence and some holding cells and more related to dealing with offenders or people that might be arrested and brought into the station.
Secure
areas. The second floor will be more of the administrative offices and investigations, and as well as areas that for criminal investigations, etc. So it's going to be a finished building, but there will be a space available within the areas that are designated for additional growth, and we're very excited about this facility as well. One of the things, Gene, that you'll notice, and the people who are watching this program will notice, that each building is a little different color. And one of the things that the architect has going out of, is suggested as an architectural feature, is to attempt to have a little different color on each building, municipal building that's built in the complex there. And so that the fire station, the existing fire station, will have a little different color. The Mullins Center, which is our recreational center, will have a different color. The new City Hall, proposed new City Hall, and the new police station will each have a different color rather than the same color for all facilities.
Just follow the yellow brick road for this, or follow the red brick road for that.
That's right.
That's great. Style of the buildings. I personally like them. What style are they in?
Well, not having been here when the first two buildings were built, I can presume that the style is more of a kind of a Florida style, and that the two new buildings are being proposed will be consistent with the buildings that are out there. Mm-hmm. And so that I think that the people and the citizens of Northport will be very proud of these facilities, and it'll actually be another further benefit to the community and bringing an image to the community of being a progressive and modern community.
And maybe even to the outside world, that we really do exist, and we are the real thing.
Exactly.
And we are a city.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that they've called them Key West style. I don't know that if that's true or not, but
I would think, well, it's in Florida, let's say.
yeah, okay, that's great. Who is the architect?
We've actually hired two consultants. The first consultant is the architect is STH Architectural Group out of West Palm Beach. They're well known for building city halls and municipal facilities. Most recently, they built the new city hall at Port St. Lucie, and they've done a number of other projects on the East Coast. We've also hired a second consultant who's Construction Dynamics, and they will be the construction management firm that'll come in and be the owner's representative to make sure the architect's design is the most economical but effective for our use, and then they'll also watch over the new contractor. And one of the things, Gene, that I think is worth noting is in the last two buildings, we did experience some problems with construction during those buildings. And the reason why we hired a construction management firm this time is to not only do value engineering on the front end to make sure that the architect is designing a building that is not a Cadillac, but it's not a Volkswagen either, and to give us something that's workable but not overly expensive, and then at the same time to have that construction management firm make sure that the contractor does what the plans call for.
And I believe also using a CM or a construction manager, there's a tax benefit to it, is that the city purchases all the goods and materials so we can get more building for the same money.
Right, and one of the benefits of the CM obviously is that they're our representative to make sure that the architect and the contractor do their jobs.
Okay, and when do you propose to have the groundbreaking, and when do you propose it to be done?
I'm very excited. If the August 26th election goes favorably for us and we're able to have the voters approve that, then the plans, the entire plans, the construction plans for this project will be done on or about November 1st. And then we anticipate that by the end of January of 2004, we'll be under construction, and that both buildings will be completed on or about April of 2005.
Wow, okay, so it's a pretty aggressive program.
Pretty aggressive.
It's almost as aggressive as our school program here in town.
Very much, very much, and I marvel at the job that they've done in building those buildings.
We have a minute left. What's going to be done with the old buildings?
Well, what we're looking at a number of issues with regards to possible things that we can do with that. Obviously, being an extension of Dallas White Park, with their recreational opportunities are there, and in close proximity to the skate park and a potential future BMX park there. The other thing is that we've had certain agencies from the outside contact us about possibly leasing some space on some of the buildings. Now, quite frankly, the current City Hall, there's enough problems with that facility that it probably would not be a good space for leasing out, but we'll look at all options on that.
I like your entrepreneurial spirit. I think that any revenue you can bring into the city, I think not only me but other residents will appreciate that. And with that, we'll say goodbye till the next time. This is Gene Matthews, Roth Board of View from here.